Hey guys, it's Bedlam, and in this video, I want to share some tips I have that'll help you with creating a successful and active club from scratch. We're going to go through the process of creating a club from the very beginning, starting with understanding your personal goals, things to keep in mind when managing your club, and then we'll end off with the point I'm at right now where I'm planning on leaving my club of 3 years. So if you're interested in making a club yourself or are just interested in learning more about the process in general, be sure to stick around to the end. In the 7 years of playing this game, I've pretty much always been the president of the club I've been in, and I've grown these from before I ever started making YouTube videos, so I promise I didn't cheat using some pre-existing popularity. I grew all these clubs organically. And I think this has given me a pretty good understanding of how clubs work in this game and the things you need to do in order to be successful. That being said, I don't feel like I necessarily have the authority to make a definitive guide. There are going to be some things that I haven't tried yet, and some other areas that others are going to have way more experience than I do, but I can at least share in depth what I've personally done and experienced in my time playing this game, and that should be a good starting point for beginners, and it's going to cover most cases for most people. If you follow the tips in this video, I promise you're basically guaranteed to get a successful club, eventually. So, if you enjoy this type of video and want to see more, be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's just jump right into my personal thoughts on how you can create a successful club in Brawl Stars. So starting out, let's answer a basic question you might have before even thinking about creating your own club, and that is, do you need to be masters in ranked or have, 60,000 trophies in order to make a popular club? And the answer to this, I think, is a pretty simple no. I've seen clubs with presidents that don't even reach the trophy requirement in their own club. Being one of the top players in the club you own can definitely be helpful, but in my opinion, the most important thing that you need to create a successful club is passion. And I don't mean this necessarily in some romantic or emotional way. To me, passion is the motivation or desire you have to achieve something. Now, that passion might be reflected in your energy, like if the way you talk or interact with people is always super energetic and sociable, I think that shows that you have a lot of passion. It could also be reflected in your motivation, how much you want to be president and how much time or work you're willing to put in, or it can even be shown in your time spent in the game, right? So how much you play the game, the trophies you've accumulated, the rank that you have. It's not that you need a lot of trophies to be a successful president, it's just that people who are the most passionate about the game are going to be the people who play this game a lot, and then those people who play the game a lot are going to be the most likely to have a successful club, because they're more motivated than others to put in the time and never give up. And having this passion is what will attract people to join your club. Passion isn't just Brawl Stars, people in general are attracted to passion. When you buy a product, you'll probably prefer something colorful, detailed, looks like someone put in a lot of effort into it, over something that's just like plain or boring, or looks like whoever made it just doesn't give a shit. When you eat food, you prefer something that looks like it was made with time, effort, and love. When you trust in a leader, you'd rather trust in a guy with some energy, a personality, a devotion to the organization over some person who's like bland piece of cardboard, they have no vision, right? Having passion for what you do is one of the most important things to get people interested in what you're doing. And in Brawl Stars, passion can look like trophies, so people are more likely to follow someone with 50,000 trophies over 5k trophies. It can look like rank, people might rather follow a Masters over a Diamond player. But, it can also look like energy. People might choose a club where the president is active and friendly in messages, instead of a president who never talks, rarely plays, doesn't send announcements, or really do anything to manage the club, right? Passion can also be collaborative too. As active members join your club and become more interested in your club, people are going to see that club as having something worth joining for, and then they'll join as well, adding to that pool of passion, making it grow over time. This is kind of how clubs with no president or a president with no passion can sometimes, rarely, perpetuate themselves just through the passion of its members. These zombie clubs kind of struggle though, because in the end you need some central figure to continuously supply the passion and act as like a beacon to inspire passion in others. The passion of your members are going to ebb and flow over time, so it's really important that the club has one consistent anchor that is always there to provide energy to keep that club active, and I think that responsibility falls mostly on you as the club's president. So let's say you're a super passionate individual who loves the game and you really want to make an awesome club. Before you make your club, I think it'll be beneficial for you to think of exactly what you're trying to achieve with this club, which is what I'm going to call your specific goal. There are lots of potential specific goals. For example, your specific goal could be having an active group of people who play with each other, right? That's a pretty simple one. Or it could be having a friendly and active chat where people are comfortable talking. Or it could be having a club with a funny name where people who join all have a similar sense of humor. Or it could be having a club that always gets max mega pig. It could be having a club that gets over 1 million total trophies. It could be having a competitive club that has a minimum rank requirement. You get the point. There are lots of different potential goals that people might have, and you might want all of these things, or you might only care about a few, but in my opinion, you should pick out one goal to prioritize above all else. This is going to be your specific goal, because as you're trying to grow your club, you'll come across situations where two of these goals might contradict each other, and if you make decisions based purely on feelings, you're going to get led astray and make a bad decision. For example, if your goal is an active club, but also a really friendly and inviting club, you might suddenly come across a dilemma where the people who used to be super active and who you formed bonds with in the past have slowly stopped playing the game, right? Do you kick them in order to make room for new active members, or do you leave them in one of your limited 30 slots to stay loyal to your bond that you have with them, right? If your goal is a fun club that's super fun, but you also want it to be more competitive, do you kick the people who are funny and active, but not very good at the game? Or do you leave them in, but then delegitimize your club as a competitive club that has all these low trophy, low ranked members? Clubs don't have enough member slots to allow you to do everything. Sometimes you can't have your cake and eat it too. But if you pick just one goal that you prioritize above all else, it's going to help a lot with navigating these tricky decisions and can be super helpful to reference whenever you're unsure about what to do. If your specific goal is player activity, then it's important, even if it feels really painful, to stick to that specific goal and kick AFK players even if you know them really well, right? New people will join and eventually you'll find new players to form bonds with. If you prioritize activity, you have to cycle out people who go AFK. If you prioritize friendships and connections, then you know what? It's fine to leave them be. Maybe they're going through something in real life and they'll be back later, maybe not. But if you don't care about having a club full of active members, who really cares, right? There are going to be cases where you can compromise on goals, but if you really want to succeed with your club, you can't compromise on your specific goal. If you're already a club president and you're watching this video, you'll probably find that you already have like a specific goal that you've been basing your decisions off of without even giving it that much thought and just doing it intuitively. That's totally fine early on, but keep in mind that every president will eventually have to think about their specific goal at some point, because goals for clubs are going to change over time as well. And once you've been locked in on a specific goal for a long time, it's pretty difficult to switch directions because your existing members might not be that receptive to the switch, and you might not be intuitively used to making decisions based on that new goal. If you have a club full of 40,000 trophy people and you suddenly decide 1 year down the road that, you know what, I want to have a masters only club, you're going to find that people who've been in the club for a long time who don't have masters might start to complain, or you might have to start kicking people with 50,000 trophies, and that can all feel like super bad if you've known people for a while, or if you've gotten really used to kicking people based on a trophy count. If you stick to your goal, you're going to achieve it, and you and the club are going to adjust. But if you waver on that decision and then try to go back to your previous goal of just kicking based on trophies, it's going to make the legitimacy of your leadership questionable, right? Why are you not kicking this person? Why are you creating all these new rules and then going back on those rules? Even when things get rough, as long as you use your specific goals to guide your decision making, results will eventually show. It just might take some time. And sticking to it isn't just important later on, but early on too. For brand new clubs starting from scratch, if your goal, right, is just to get a full club, you might find that you have almost no new members after weeks of creating the club, and that kind of feels like shit, but it's also okay and totally normal. Well, it's okay as long as you don't care about Megapig, but we'll talk more about what you can do if you're stuck in this specific case in the next section, but for now, just remember that when things get slow, you gotta find the source of your passion and not falter, because to achieve your goals, you can't just give up on them whenever you're not instantly rewarded with success. Sticking to your goals when the going gets tough, but being flexible enough to adapt to new goals when the needs of your club change, that's what makes a good leader. Patience and persistence are key. Okay, so enough theory crafting, let's get into the actual creating of the club itself. So when you're making a new club, you've got the club name, the club description, and the club requirements. Right? These should be aimed towards fulfilling whatever goal or goals that you have in mind and inviting the type of player that you want to see. I think it's easier to start with an example. So this is one of my clubs I've made called Toilet Town. I kind of like that vulgar, some might call lame potty humor. So my goal with the title is to kind of attract players who also find that same kind of humor funny. The description is also kind of in line with that, but I also made it with some emojis to try and portray some energy or passion with the club. And I also added a section that talks about Megapig, so hopefully the players who join are going to care about that too. The trophy requirements are currently set at 10,000 trophies, which I kind of just eyeball when our lowest members eventually pass or get close to the previous requirements. There's no exact science to this. I've seen some clubs with like half the members below the trophy threshold and some clubs with no trophy thresholds that still have a bunch of high trophy players in it. Trophy requirements can be changed super easy and super quick, so you can kind of play with it and see what works best with you. I also generally like to leave the club open because my goal is mostly to get an active club and grow quickly. But if you care a lot more about ranked elo, or if you pass the 35,000 trophy threshold, which is for some reason the max that you can set it in this game, you might need to turn on invite only to kind of vet the players to come in to make sure they have higher than 40,000 or 50,000 trophies, right? I personally don't touch family friendly. I don't really even know what it does. I tried Googling a while back, but it just mentioned something about being more restrictive with chat filters, I think. The chat filters in this game are already fucked though. I mean, I can't even type my own name without getting the whole thing censored, so like, so I don't really know what it does, and it's something you can't turn it off once you turn it on. I prefer to just leave it off. Maybe let me know in the comments if you know exactly what it does, because Supercell is pretty vague with it. Another thing that can't be changed once you set it is the club name, right? There's one exception which I'll talk about later, but generally, you can't change your club name after you've made it, so make sure you think it over carefully and pick a really good one. In my opinion, the name of the club is about half of the value of the club itself, because it's one of the only things that differentiates your club from other clubs, since anyone can join any random club to get Megapig or talk to people, but not everyone's club is going to be named Toilet Town. I also consider myself one of the worst namers of all time. I'm terrible at it. I don't know why. I think I just have like a mental creativity deficiency or something. Maybe I was dropped on my head as a child, things like that. But I find that personally, names with 2 to 3 syllables is the sweet spot for me. And I like to have 2 words that are both nouns with no adjectives or verbs in the name. Out of these 3 possibilities, I would pick Fart Squad. But, you know, that isn't to say that adjective, noun, or verb, noun pairings don't work. I mean, this is probably mostly personal preference. Like Silly Beans is a fun name, but also has an adjective in it too. Plus, a lot of people like how one-word names feel, like Limitless or something edgy like that. You don't have to listen to me on this part because I'm a notoriously dogshit namer. Do what makes you happy, and hopefully you'll attract people who also find that name enjoyable. That being said, don't name your club something too inappropriate because it will get changed forcibly by a moderator when your club gets big enough. And then your club name is going to look something like this. It's lame, it's cringe. Names are so important to clubs. This is basically like a vibe killer. You can contact support to get it changed, but being forced to change a name really sucks ass. The vibe of your whole club is going to get changed with it. Don't get put in that position, just name it something reasonable, okay? So once you've spent about a gadget's worth of coins and made your own club, let's discuss managing your club. I mentioned this before, but when you're starting out and it's from scratch, things are going to be pretty rough. Club recommendations in this game are somewhat of a lottery, and if you're in this club by yourself, do not expect the members to just immediately fill up. You're pretty much at the mercy of the Brawl Stars recommendation system, which prioritizes number of players online and the minimum trophy requirement when recommending clubs. If it's just you in the club to start out with, you will only have one online player, so it's going to be super hard to get members early on unless your name and description really stand out. But the nice thing about the recommendation system is that because it prioritizes number of players online, if you have just a few people join, suddenly your club is going to have like 3 members online at once, right? And then that's going to bump you up to the top of the recommended list, and that's where you can start to see groups of like 5 or 10 people join all at once super quickly. Club growth in this game can be exponential like that. This is also why for starting clubs, if you want to save yourself a ton of time waiting around, create a club with a few friends who you all play together with, so you have a bunch of people online all at the same time, and that can be super helpful for getting a lot of new members really quickly. When I first made Toilet Town, it took me like months to fill up 30 members for the first time, although it was on an alt account, so I wasn't really playing on it that much. But I remember what really gave me that extra boost was when I got a friend to join, and us playing together suddenly caused a big spike in members joining. But even with that, it still took me months to fill up to 30 members. This shit takes time, okay? Don't lose motivation and give up too early. If you stay active and have a friend actively playing too, it'll eventually grow, probably, as long as your name and description are inviting enough. Another thing you could consider is using the Brawl Recruit subreddit and Discord to get new members. Although, if your club has no members, this might be a tough sell, but if you're able to throw away your shame, this potentially could give you the initial membership you need to skip that long waiting period. Could be worth a shot. So once you get to the point where you have 30 members, you'll have to start kicking people who are AFK and don't fit with your goals for your club to continue to grow, right? Switching from quantity of players to quality. My personal preference is to not kick more than 2 people at a time because I just find that people tend to join full clubs more often. Theoretically, you could get away with kicking more, down to like 26 people, but if people decide to leave your club after you kick people and it drops like 24 or 22, that's not a great look. Staying at 28 is, in my opinion, just the safest way, and you can intend to kick more people too. Like, if 4 people don't participate in Megapig and you want to kick them, just kick 2, and then once 2 people join, kick another 2. I call it the 28 rule in my head because I just like to stay at around 28 members, just so you have a nearly full club that has new people joining more frequently. Another aspect of managing your club is going to be with the roles of vice president and senior. Just so you know, members can't do anything, including accepting new members. Seniors can accept or reject members if you're in invite-only mode, and they can also promote other members to senior and kick members. Vice presidents can promote and demote seniors. They can also edit the description, change the settings, send announcements. Basically, they can do everything that a president can, except they can't touch other vice presidents. So should you give vice president out to everyone? I've seen some clubs do this thing where everyone who joins has VP, which is kind of cool, but if everybody is VP, then nobody's VP, right? So it's kind of pointless. It just devalues the role. Same thing with senior too, to some extent. Since vice president can manage everything with the club, I think it's best used if given to people who can either manage the chat or send out announcements, or it's just someone who you think is really cool and aligns with your goals a lot. Ideally, people who you sign on as VP should be bought into your specific goals or be briefed about what you need them to do. I'm generally against people getting VP just as like a cosmetic role and then not doing anything helpful with it. In terms of senior, that one is just like, it doesn't really do that much, so I kind of give it out as like a reward for a lot of Megapig ticket use. You can do what you want with it, really. As your club grows, you're going to get a lot of people asking for VP, and if you give them the role, most of them will do literally nothing with it. They just want a cosmetic title without understanding the work or responsibility that comes with properly managing a club. If they really wanted to be a helpful president or vice president, they would have made their own successful club, but they either tried and failed or are too lazy, so now they're begging you for a promotion. These people will get burnt out eventually and stop doing stuff. It's just a waste of time to entertain them. For a lot of people, they might be attracted to the vague idea of being a president or like the social credit that comes with being called the president, but what they lack is an actual passion for the game and in becoming a good leader. The issue is, if you lack passion, then when the going gets rough, you're gonna lose motivation to continue. I've seen this happen over and over again, especially with people who beg for vice president or whatever. These people don't really care about creating a good club that people will join. They just want a title and like the social credit that you get from having that title. When the club is doing well, they feel great because their title reflects the success of the club. But when the club is doing not so well, where it stagnates a little, they might feel like shit and then stop doing things, making the club stagnate even more, or they might just straight up leave the club, right? Besides the promotion beggars, some other archetypes of players you might see are trolls. I call them trolls, but what I really mean are people who are like aggravators or instigators. You know, they make excessively edgy or sexual jokes like all the time. They can be kind of funny, but if you leave them, they can end up creating and influencing the culture of your entire club, right? Some people are going to be enabled by the jokes and then join in, and some people are going to be uncomfortable with the jokes and then they'll either stop typing or go silent or even leave the club. Eventually, the chat will start to select itself for members who are comfortable with and enjoy that kind of stuff. Do as you please, but I generally kick people like this just because it's too much work to manage and it drowns out a lot of other types of players that you would want to have. Another archetype is foreigners, so these are like people with Russian names who start typing and filling up the chat with Russian. I just tell them to speak only English. Personally, I don't want the chat clogged with a foreign language because it drowns out other types of players again, and my club is US based anyways, so Russians can go join their Russian clubs, okay? Fuck them. If they ignore me after I tell them to speak only in English, I just kick them. You might also rarely see people who like to argue or talk about politics a lot. You know, some of this is okay, it's not really a big deal, but if people are like full on arguing in the piece of shit chat interface that is horizontal typing, then like they need to go outside. Just warn any people like this and tell them to like calm down or quiet down, and then kick them if they don't listen. And then the last type of player I'll cover is the silent player. You know, some people just never type. Personally, I don't really care about this as long as Megapig is filled and they're active in other ways, but if you're the kind of person who cares a lot about chat rooms, you might be better off just treating these people as inactives and kicking them. It can be really difficult to kick these type of people, especially if they use Megapig tickets a lot and are otherwise really active, but clubs only have 30 slots, so you're gonna have to make some sacrifices. A club full of silent players is basically an empty club. In order to be a good president, you need to get really used to kicking people with no remorse, right? Especially if they interfere with your goals. Some other miscellaneous things to avoid: don't overload a club with a bunch of rules. You probably shouldn't spam the announcements feature unless it's something really funny. I personally like to send a ping for Megapig because people genuinely do forget. These are kind of obvious things, you know, you'll figure it out as you do it. And some tips specifically for branching out into Discord. I'm gonna be honest, this is an area that I'm not really that sure about, but I can offer some thoughts, just take it with a grain of salt. If you're starting out from scratch and you want to Discord with your club, that's going to be really tough, just because all the people who join starting clubs are going to be like low trophies, and these are people you don't even want to have in your club with a Discord anyways, because then as you grow your club, if you want to increase your trophy count, you might have to kick them. Another strategy is to try and gather active members and then switch to requiring Discord slowly after, but that might still be difficult to find players who join and want a Discord, just because there's so many people who play this game using the search club feature that the chances that they use a Discord or even care are going to be pretty small. One idea I had but never tried personally was basically, if you use the Brawl Stars Recruit Discord, you can close the club and advertise on Discord to get active Discord users to join your club. Club invite links actually work even if the club is set to closed, So theoretically, you could close off your club and create a bunker where people can only join if they have the invite link and it's through Discord. But I haven't tried this Discord method, so I can't say it's valid. Just an idea I had. If you really care about Discord, you might come up with something better. As long as you have the passion and motivation, you'll be able to think of novel ideas, okay? Try stuff, see what works, let me know in the comments how it goes. And then last thing, making feeder clubs. Again, I can't personally say I've ever really done this, but as far as I can tell, the premise is you just make another club and then say put its name in the description of your main club, and then people can join your main club from the feeder when room opens up, and you just let the next person in line in, right? It's kind of like a wait list, but people are in an in-game club instead of just sitting around. You could even link 2 clubs together through a Discord and have one big group chat too. Lots of options, nothing too crazy. If you got this far, chances are you might be thinking something like, man, this shit is a lot of work. Is it even worth it? When I made my first ever club, I was in high school. I was basically a shy, introverted kid who just wanted to have clout and a title, right? Basically everything that a promotion beggar is, I was that guy. And honestly, that was fine, because school clubs kind of go different. You don't really need to advertise or do anything crazy to recruit people because the priority is for the club to be a place where you can play with people in real life. You don't need to care if Brandon from math joins your club, even if he has 10 trophies, because it's more about playing the game with friends in real life than it is about growing the actual club. And since that is the specific goal, you can kind of close the club, talk all the shit you want, have the edgiest name ever, have the edgiest description, you know, it's great. But after I graduated high school and got into college, I kind of drifted apart from a lot of these high school friends, and we started living our own lives. You know, made new friend groups, starting spending time with new people, we found new hobbies. It was around the start of college that I decided to leave behind my old club, right, full of memories from high school, to create a new one. Also, the name of that high school club was really edgy and I didn't want that on my profile anymore. But, you know, I quickly realized that the person that I was and the person that I needed to be in order to be a good president was like completely different. It took me a lot of energy to even send announcements. I was so shy, and I was way too reserved to advertise shamelessly. Like, the thought of even prostrating myself to beg for people to join my club was so embarrassing. I just sat it out and instead let people slowly trickle into my club using the recommendation feature. But, you know, eventually over time, in order to see growth in my club, I realized I had to become a lot more energetic. I started to become more passionate in my messages. I started advertising to recruit members and did what I needed to make my club the best it could be. The truth is that not everyone needs to be president. It's actually really fucking nice to just join a club and not think about anything else but using your Mega Pig tickets once a month. You know, keeping tabs on members, checking their ticket usage, monitoring and moderating chat, thinking about who to kick and who you can promote and delegate responsibilities onto, managing your VPs or moderators in Discord if you have one, considering your specific goals and being the beacon of passion that everyone relies on. It's all just annoying nonsense that can take hours of your time each week. And it's all totally unnecessary to enjoy the game and get max progression. But if after listening to all this, you still decide that you want to start your own club anyways, and kind of dip your feet in the kiddie pool of managing people for the first time, the nice thing is that this decision might eventually grow and shape the person that you become years down the line. Picking up leadership positions in video games can unironically be a nice, low-stakes environment where you can practice and improve on your skills, however insignificant a club in a video game might be in the broad scheme of things. And also, it is kind of fun to have power over people. And so, all that being said, I've decided to leave my current club. It's called Rainfall now, but originally it was called Fart Smoke. It was the club I made in undergrad after leaving my high school club, and in my opinion, Fart Smoke is and was my naming magnum opus. Okay, like, come on, Fart Smoke? That's fucking hilarious. It's like chill, but also dirty and grimy, has that classic childish toilet humor I love so much. Simple 2-word noun, just rolls right off the tongue, Fart Smoke, you know? And people love that vibe too and joined the club just for the name. And the members I'd see were all kinds of these unique players who were funny or had their own personas and character traits. It was cute, I really liked it. But then one day the stupid ass moderation team came in and fucked my shit up and changed it. I literally have no idea why they did that because farts aren't even inappropriate for a name. There's like hundreds of clubs with fart or poop in the P in the name. Like, why would they target my fart smoking ass, okay? My only guess is they didn't like the smoking part or something. I don't know. Fuck whoever changed my name in the Brawl Stars moderation team. They can inhale and choke on my nasty ass gas. And then after the name change, I've noticed over time a significant decrease in the amount of fun and edgy people joining the club. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think this club has become a little bit too chill for me. You know, there's only so much I can do with like a fucked name, right? Plus, now that I have a Brawl Stars related YouTube channel with a Discord, I'm kind of at an opportunity that I've never really had before, where people who play this game and are active in Discord and are really good at the game actually want to specifically join me in a club. Kill 3 birds with 1 stone. I'll just make a new club that requires you to join my Discord server to join. So that's what I'll be doing now. It'll require masters, and you'll need to join the Discord to sign up, but if you're not a masters, that's okay. You can join my other club too, Toilet Town, which I'll be making Discord only as well. It has only a 10k trophy requirement, so be sure to check out the Discord if you're interested. Link will be in the description. I don't know how fast these clubs are going to fill up, but if they fill up really fast, I'm not opposed to making a 3rd club too. That probably is stretching me a little beyond the limit of what I can take, so we'll see how popular that'll be. And yeah, that's gonna be it from me. Sorry about how long this video is. I wasn't expecting me to have so much to say on this topic, I'm not gonna lie. Hope you guys enjoyed the video though. If you did, be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. If you made it this far, just want to say, I love your necklace. I think it has a really nice color to it. It's really pretty. If you don't have a necklace, then your collarbones where a necklace would be stand out really nicely. So maybe you should consider getting one. Who knows? Take care, y'all. I love you. Goodbye. Mwah.